Hello, everyone. This is Tom, the Lone Wolf Prepper. Thank you for coming to Lone Wolf Prepper's Dukes of Hazzard Friday Night Live. Anyway, a place for patriots to come and gather and discuss current events and things that need to happen to fix the problem. Thank you, Catherine, for the 5x5. Anyway, I guess the first thing we should cover tonight is the solar storms that are going to hit the earth this weekend. Now, usually, I figure them as scare tactics and stuff, but, having my degree in electronics, I know how bad it can get. I know about the Carrington event, and I also know that our whole society is based on electronics. And, it's one of those things that it's not going to be, if it happens, one day it will happen. But anyway, I guess NOAA, the National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration, the federal government's weather people, have issued a solar storm warning, and it's the first one they've done in over 20 years. So I guess I didn't even know about the one 20 years ago. But the universe is a very powerful place. I mean, planet Earth is going to be taken out. There's lots of stuff in the universe that can do it, and human beings will go just as easy. But anyway, and I guess there's 5 or 6 waves, and as they're hitting the Earth, they're compressing and intensifying, and we're actually feeling effects of this now. I was on with watching Prepper Nurses 1 live broadcast tonight, and it was buffering, which it normally never does. And there was this clicking or ticking or something you'd hear every once in a while, almost like noise spikes. I don't know if you ever looked at a signal through an oscilloscope. That's why on a coaxial cable they have the shielding on the outside, so all those noise spikes gets grounded out, and that's kind of what it sounded like to me. But it's definitely an effect that can happen. I mean, the Carrington event, that was so bad that it even melted railroad ties. I mean, that's crazy. Because the difference between nuclear electromagnetic pulse and these solar flares is an electromagnetic pulse is right away, instant, okay? It's like lightning coming down. I mean, if you ever had lightning hit close to your house and it took out your electronics and stuff, that's what an electromagnetic pulse is. Basically just a huge dose of lightning just coming down on everything. Quick. Where the solar storms, it's like the atmosphere is continuously getting baked. It's like it's getting microwaved, okay? And after going along for that for so long, some get through the atmosphere. Am I worried about it? No. As preppers, we shouldn't worry about this type of stuff. You should be prepared for that. I might even say, looking forward to it, you might say. I've been prepping a long time. So, I'm prepared for this. This stuff doesn't scare me. If it happens, it happens. If we get up tomorrow morning and all electricity we have no power at all, and society is completely breaking down, and, all that's happening, after 2 weeks of that happening, and the weaker among us are no longer living, I guess I get on my EMP-approved form of transportation called my horse, and I go to where I'm going to homestead. I'm not worried. Life will still go on. I plan on still going on. That's why I'm prepping. The last thing a prepper needs to do is be afraid of what's going to come down the pike. I mean, I'm not talking zombie apocalypse or, but going without electricity, if that's such a earth-shaking event that billions of human beings die because of it, well, we were the weaker species then. I mean, if we need electrons to flow so we can still maintain our livelihood and stay alive, we're we're too dependent on electronics. But yeah, this could be something. I mean, like I said, I noticed it watching Prepper Nurse One, the interference and stuff. So I do believe it's happening. If we get hit real hard or a country gets hit real hard, will another country take advantage of that situation? I don't know. That's one thing about people, when they seem the country gets hit really hard, the rest of the world seems to come to their aid. But, when the U.S. gets hit real hard with something, we'll see if the rest of the world will come at our aid, to our aid. I'm not so sure about that. But anyway, this leads me to being prepped for this stuff, being ready. If you're in the city and you lose all electricity, it's going to be a bad time, especially at night, so you're going to have to bug out, okay? Bug out locations are very important. You got to get away from people when SHTF goes down. That's your biggest threat. Now, if you're in a mag or whatever, still, the mag has to isolate itself. It's not like you're going to have a mag in the middle of New York City. So it's either a bug out location for myself being a lone wolf or bug out location for as your mag. Okay. But, what's a bug out location? Need. Besides your supplies, what does it need? It needs the three basic things that every animal, including human beings, need for survival: food, water, and protection from the elements. Shelter, as you could say. That's what it needs. Now, food, you can have all the canned food in the world and stuff, and but the food's still going to run out. I realize that people are afraid, the deer herd's going to disappear, like it did in the depressions and when times were tough. The difference between that time and now, why a lot of people didn't die back then, is because people were independent of the system. Now people are dependent on the system for their livelihood. Electricity in the government. So, a lot of people that are dependent on other people for their livelihood and their survival aren't going to survive. They don't have the skills. They don't have the endurance to endure the suffering that's going to happen. So, anyway, it's going to be a tough time. Okay, but bug out locations. You people that are still in the city, how much more signs do you need how things are going to get terrible? I mean, I was listening to Angry Prepper in New York. In that one video, all I heard was sirens. It seemed like every couple minutes I heard sirens. And I made a comment, I don't ever hear sirens out here. You don't ever see a cop out here. I mean, if you were to see a cop out here, they're out here to arrest somebody. Okay. But you don't have that. Just imagine what it's going to be like when you lose electricity and there is nobody there to come and help you. So, you people in the city need to get out. You need to find a bug out location. if you're in the city, you got to be able to get to it in a hurry. It's things are gonna, what they say, we're 3 meals away from anarchy. Well, how many people even have 3 meals in their fridge? Anyway, I'm glad I live and work in my bug out location because there's going to be a lot of dust that gets shaked up over this. The grid goes down. Like I say, this weekend could be the last weekend of the normal world. After this all hits, we could be back to the Stone Age on Monday. I don't think that's going to happen, but it could. It actually could, because this is a natural occurrence that has happened before and will happen again. So anyway, bug out. When it comes time to bug out, you need your bug out location all set up and stuff. You need to know about 50 ways how to get there. Because the most convenient way, I guarantee you, that you have now is going to be the most hardest route to take. I mean, if your bug out location is 20 miles away, you may have to walk 50 miles to get there safely. So, in the military, rarely did we walk a straight line. Just saying. Anyway, one thing I want to bring up is, a lot of people have wondered when all of this is going to kick off. I'm switching back to our common enemy, the federal government, in the 1776 moment, Declaration of Independence. But specifically, I'm talking about 1775, April 19th, Lexington Concord Bridge. British coming down the road. It wasn't the British coming down the road that caused the shot heard around the world. It was that the patriots, the colonists, were finally strong enough and organized enough to stand up to them. Okay? That's how we got to get. We outnumber them so much. I mean, crazy. We've been at war now for 34 years. They've created a lot of veterans. Okay? I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but it's going to be accomplished. Okay? George Washington didn't have a trained, disciplined military. Not at first. He didn't get that till after Valley Forge, really. We won battles before then, but he didn't get that well-disciplined and trained military till after Valley Forge. Okay? We got that now. He didn't have the equipment. We got that now. Every military base, that equipment on there is ours, not the federal government's. That equipment is used to protect Americans, not the federal government's. And if us Americans need to use that equipment because we have been trained on it, then we will. We're not stealing nothing. Okay? But we need to organize. We need to talk. I want people to come on this live chat and talk. Okay? How are you feeling? What you think should be done. What's your biggest issues with in our country? For me, it's the border. We're being invaded. I'm really not too worried about Russia and Ukraine. I'm glad Russia's finally getting down to business in that war. I know it'll save us a lot of money. If they would just sit there and go balls to the wall with the full force of their military, this war would be over. What's Zelensky going to do? Oh, that's right. He'll probably come run to Florida. live in his taxpayer funded, what you paid for with our tax money, his home there. So anyway, but I'm not concerned about that. Israel, Hamas, Iran, nope. North or South Korea, nope. China or Taiwan, nope. Because the invasion that's going to hurt the United States that's going on right now is coming through our borders. There's so much that can be said about that. And, flying them in from other countries, paying them money when they get here, flooding our countries with non-Americans that have no urge to become Americans. They want to live like they did in their country with all our freebies. Not understanding, not to upset third world countries, but there's a reason you're a third world country. Okay? You know why? Because you didn't have the drive what people had that caused, back in the old West for people to cross the prairie all summer long to get to the other ocean and stuff. That type of drive to better themselves, not looking at their neighbor expecting them to pay their way and stuff. So, but anyway, it's just a mess. It's just a mess. And then Venezuela, setting up other criminals. Yeah, their crime rate's going down in Venezuela. Ours is going up. I wonder if there's any correlation. In fact, wasn't that guy that killed that, what was her name now? Athens, Georgia. Oh, I can't remember her name. Wasn't he Venezuelan? I think he was. Anyway, see, that's our major threat. That's what's going to affect the American people. That's the enemy coming in through over our borders. That's going to come to your doorstep and just totally mess up your whole life and your family and not give a crap about it. Then you'll have the Democrats sitting there saying, wow, if you say anything against that, you're a racist. There must be something wrong with you. This country's mission is not to pamper every citizen in this world. Okay. It's not our job to pay to make sure that they have internet. I'm just done with it. Okay. And we're working and paying for this stuff. Can you imagine what this country would be like if we spent all this money on Americans? Or I tell you what, better yet, not even have to collect that money and drop our taxes. That would be even better. But no, spend. Like I was told back in the 90s when I was dabbling in politics a little bit, congressman told me that the only reason they like the presidency is because then their side gets to determine how the money's spent for the next 4 years. And then I said something about the money, about the amount or whatever, and he just laughed at me and said, son, you have no idea how much money is out there. Okay. And this was back in the 90s. So anyway, things haven't gotten much better. But, these other countries at war, like I say, Russia's not stealing my money. Putin hasn't threatened me with nuclear weapons or F-15s with Hellfire missiles. I still can't believe a president's allowed to get away with that. Get away with that, then sit there and say at the same time that our constitutional rights aren't absolute. Well, I'll tell you one thing that's not absolute in this country is the federal government. It can be dissolved at any time. When people realize that the control is just an illusion, that they really don't have any control over you, Well, it don't take a big percentage of us to stand up. I mean, how many cops are there? I think the last figure I heard, there's like 3.5 million cops or something like that. Maybe it was 5 million between federal, state, local, all that stuff. 5 million. Okay, let's say we get 5% of the patriots to stand up. Well, see, that would be about 17.5 million people, 18 million people. They don't stand a chance. Like I say, we know how to run all the equipment on these bases. The cops don't, okay? What are they going to do with their little civilian tanks when Abrams comes rolling down the street with a Patriot and a bunch of Patriot grunts protecting that tank? What are the cops going to do? Oh, I know. Just like Katrina. Nothing and run and hide. Anyway, I know I get a little excited about that stuff, but we need to organize. We need to get strong like they were on this April 19th, 1775, when we finally get strong enough to stand up to them. We have had that. The Bundys, where they held them off, and the one down there was in Arizona where they had to let the cows go. When was that? That was back in 2000, late 2013, I think it was late 2013, early 2014. Remember that? When the Bundys first started. And, they had to let the cows go when the cowboys were pushing the cows through the cops. I'm sorry to say, but that brought tears to my eyes because Americans were finally standing up and they had to cave, just like they will. I mean, I don't understand what military they have to fight us patriots with. Okay, I don't know what they're going to use. I mean, are they any real red-blooded American patriot who's in the military isn't going to fight for them? They're going to, like during the Civil War, they decided what side they were going to fight for. And that's the side they wouldn't fought for. But, and then what are they going to beat us with? Call of Duty warriors that don't even know what they got between their legs? Say you can't win a war in high heels, got to wear combat boots. But anyway, that's a lesson our military is going to learn. Our military and our government, what's the first enemy you're going to really face? Is it going to be China? Is it going to be Russia? Is it going to be Iran? Is it going to be North Korea? Or is it going to be the American people? You keep pushing us. We will get that level of organization. We will bond together like that. And you will push a Lexington Concord moment. And I know that's going to happen because tyrants never give up. Oh, hi, sweetie. I'm sorry I wasn't watching that. I wasn't watching the feed. Not too much action there right now. But anyway, yeah, I get a little excited about it. I'm supposed to retire in 8 years, right? What do I have to look forward to? Complete dependency on the government? Not going to happen. So, anyhow. All right. Now I want to change gears a little bit. I want to talk about the education system. Now, I read some of these posts. Okay, when I put a post or a comment on a post, or I'll go to these other posts and I'll read the comments and stuff. And you can really see the lack of education. Like when these kids think a democracy and a constitutional republic are the same thing. And I guess that's what it says in the dictionary now. Okay. I guess that's what they were taught. A democracy and a constitutional republic are the same thing. Not even close. Constitutional republic has rules, laws that the government has to follow, that the people have to follow, that everybody follows to form a nice society so nobody gets stepped on. Okay? Think that's what a democracy is? Heck no. I mean, if we were a true democracy, they could sit there, and with this Republican Congress, I know they could do it because the rhinos would just abstain so the Democrats would get their way. But they could turn all patriot, white-blooded, or white American men into slaves. All you need is 51% to vote for it. And no matter what, we were slaves because they decided we were slaves. See, in a constitutional republic, you can't do that because slavery is against the law. Even though a lot of people are financial slaves, slavery is against the law. Okay? Against the Constitution, they can't do it. So all you people think that a democracy and a constitutional republic are the same. A constitutional republic saves you from a democracy. Yeah, we got democratic principles. Basically meaning, parliamentary procedure and, majority rule, majority vote, not majority rule, majority vote. I guess we have majority rule, with, the minority and the majority leaders in the Senate and the Congress and stuff. But, it doesn't matter. The American people are the losers. Half the reason this country has the problems it's got is because people keep trying to turn this into a democracy. Isn't North Korea a democracy? Isn't China a democracy? Anyway, that's what kids are learning. They ain't even learning basic civics anymore. I would probably go to school nowadays and go to some of these classes thinking I was in a foreign country that definitely has a different way of governing its people compared to the way I was taught. It's crazy. Which I guess should bring us to the election. Well, first, I'm going to go these kids being taught wrong, okay? And then being triggered over stupid stuff. Like I say, the world's just completely coming apart, and we could have bombs going off in our cities at any time. Especially the way this federal government pushes around the rest of the world. And we got liberals that are triggered. Triggered by what? Oh, 2 boys wearing acne medicine on their face, and they posted on social media 4 years ago. So they get suspended or kicked out of school and stuff. Because acne medicine. Well, 4 years later, they each get $500,000 in reimbursed for the tuition because it was a private school. Really, that's all liberals got to worry about? Acne medicine thinking they're blackface? And then let's not forget Super Bowl. That kid that was dressed up as a Kansas City Chief had the whole Indian guyman on. Oh, he's a bad person. You know how, and then the stuff fit they put up with that to find out he's a Native American kid. It must be extremely hard to live your life when all you do is act on emotion. We don't even have time to step out of it for a little bit, look at it logically. Emotion. Oh, and let's not forget Bubba Wallace and the noose, the pull cord on the the garage door to shut it. I guess he's afraid he was going to get hung from that. I mean, it's stupid. I mean, you're driving a race car around the track and you're worried about a rope hanging on a garage door. You wouldn't be in my car. Making stuff up, falsifying stuff. The SWAT stuff. Sending people the SWAT team to people's houses, and they can never catch these people that are making the crank calls. Nope. No, but they could catch Patriot if they did it. But these low life, stupid liberals that do it, no, we don't have any idea. Okay. Just like Jesse Smollett hiring people to sit there and rough them up so he can say some white guys did it with racial slurs and stuff. Do you hate yourself that much, Jesse? Anyway, but he got in trouble for that. But I mean, that's just the mentality of these people. Okay? They're hate-filled individual. I can put a comment on a post, and I don't want to say a libertarian. I'm a conservative. I believe in the smallest government possible to make sure the country functions properly, okay? And our borders are protected. Okay, I believe everybody should have a role in government. They should all have to do their time, but you don't spend your life doing it. And there's no retirement, stuff like that. And the last thing the government does is tell you how to live your life and threaten you and forget that they're there to protect your freedom, your rights, your freedom, your liberty, your constitutional rights, and your pursuit of happiness, your God-given rights. Okay? Protect what God has given us. Do you hear any of that these days? No. It's threats. Threats. Be scared. Be scared. Money for wars. Money for wars. God, $250 billion so far. And still climbing. I'm so sick and tired of working so I can give money to the government so we can kill what our government considers the enemy. Okay, I was in the Marine Corps back in the 80s in the Cold War and stuff. Okay. When I was in all those chants we do when we're running and stuff, that's part of the brainwashing process. Not that I liked them, I didn't like terrorists and communists, but they taught us, pounded it in our heads to hate communists and terrorists. Okay. What's in control of our government right now? Communists, terrorists, and you can even throw fascists in there. I don't, if this all goes full circle, there's going to be a new term for the tyranny we were under. It ain't going to be fascism and it ain't going to be communism. It's going to be a combination. For years, wars were fought between the fascists and communists, with the common person in between. Now they kind of, got on the same side. Imagine what the world would have been like if Hitler and Stalin would have been allies instead of enemies. I often think about that. The world would be a lot different place. So, anyway, what else we got here? But anyway, okay. I want to go a little bit over this Trump trial. I mean, what a disgrace. Won't even let the man campaign. Got Stormy Daniels in there. Remember every detail about sleeping with Donald Trump. She's lying. Just like that gal on the Kavanaugh hearings that said she was raped by him after when she was 15 or 16. She couldn't, she couldn't remember a lot of details around that time, but she remembered everything about that night. How many beers she had, everything. Okay, whatever. That's what this reminds me of. We got a trial going on of the president, and I'm not going to say a former president because he won the election. Okay, I'm not going to give the liberal Democrats or even the Democrat the question of doubt. Okay, I don't care. They lost. Okay, they lost and they cheated badly. Okay, so our president now is in court and he's got to defend himself against a porn star. Does anybody realize that? Our president is defending himself against a porn star in a crooked judicial system there in New York that's doing nothing but election interference. That's how screwed up this country has become. Like you say, all you people that are parading this on, yeah, go to prison, go to prison. Put yourself in, I don't know, Russia's. Some working guys in Russia who comes home every day to his family and just wants to sit there and live a normal life and not be bothered. And he's watching the news, their little spin on it. Russia's little spin on it, but they see what's going on in the U.S. I mean, we're not the beacon of freedom and liberty no more. We have totally lost our minds. We've lost our way. Got away from God. We're not responsible for our actions anymore. In government, I believe that if you serve in public office and something catastrophic happens because of your stupid decisions, you should be held accountable. Like the Branch Davidians, Janet Reno, Bill Clinton. Save the children, huh? So you had to kill all the children to save them. That type of stuff. Or the COVID-19 shot that all of a sudden they're trying to sweep that under the carpet. And we don't talk about that too much because too many people are just dying suddenly. They got that sudden adult death syndrome. Even came out with sudden adult death syndrome. How come we didn't have that disease before the COVID vaccine? Crazy times. But anyway, held accountable. So does that mean Trump would have to be held accountable for that, for Operation Warp Speed? When you're in that position, you affect people's lives all over the globe. Okay, and I know you can't affect everybody's life in a good way. If the U.S. would just stay out of other countries' business, then we just mind our own business, then we wouldn't be hurting other people around the world. But, it's just, this stuff has got to stop. I mean, how much more of this are we going to take? The future of this country looks bleak no matter how you look at it. If us American people don't stand up and solve this problem, other countries are going to come and take out their enemy, the U.S. federal government, and we'll all be victims of it. So, anyway. Well, that's all I got, and I ain't got nobody in chat, so, YouTube is trying to squash this channel every way they can. They don't want to hear the truth. That's why me being on YouTube, if you hear me, You need to talk to your neighbor. You need to start being the voice, the town crier. Okay? Because these social media platforms, they didn't have no time for us. I mean, you're gonna all we are is trying to tell the liberals the truth too. We don't want them to hate us. We want them to be saved on the other side. But they can't see that they're about to become slaves, complete slaves, to a system that they're cheering for. The firewall, that's 20% that keeps this country safe. Because eventually our government knows if they want complete control, they have to deal with the 20%. And I'm just telling you, government, that the 20% you have to deal with now, most of us are vets, military trained, all our disciplines still, and we can run the equipment. I was actually in before, everything was ran on batteries. We still had to use the main tool that a human being has. Right up there. Anyway, organize. This is a platform to come. Leave messages. Eventually my live streams will take off. Or, YouTube could just cancel me if I'm spouting too much truth. And like I say, then I can go and live my nice, relaxing life, knowing that I tried. And wait for stuff to go absolutely crazy. And just sit there in my chair with my bowl of popcorn and my Mountain Dew and watch the world completely fall apart. You don't want to listen now. By the time it comes time for you that you're willing to listen, it's going to be too late. Just like all you atheists and stuff. It's a bad time to realize God exists when you're standing in front of him. It's a little too late. But anyway, everybody needs to prepare. Things are going to get tough. Nobody's going to come and save you. You're going to be on your own. If you have a mag, make sure you can trust everybody in that mag. Make sure they're all as ambitious, as hardworking, and have the same goal as you do. Okay? The last thing a mag needs is somebody who wants to take control of everything. I realize somebody's ultimately has got to be responsible for decisions. But in a mag, you start getting bossy. They may find the nearest tree to string you up. So, anyway, but I'm a lone wolf, so it comes with its problems. Medical. Could I get hurt? I don't know, possibly. I haven't gone to the doctor in many years, I'll just say. Okay. It's not a place that I have to visit. I tend to believe in staying in shape and staying out of the doctor's office. And it seems to work for me. So, but you have that to worry about. Horse, my horse, riding a horse, a lot of people, most people don't get hurt from getting bucked off a horse. You get hurt from falling off a horse or a horse falling on you. That's where most people get killed or hurt. I've almost got killed myself that one time, but I think that horse did it on purpose. But anyway, I survived. But, we all got to have our ways of surviving this. And, I noticed over years, I've been prepping for 30 years. So eventually I realized especially now being divorced and my kids. I'm the lone wolf. Okay. I'm just safer that way. I know I can take care of myself. I can't stand listening to the words I can't or I won't. And then also being in a mag would be like having your squad. And I just don't feel any squad or any mag will even be close to the squad I had. So it's just the way I feel. It's from my experiences that caused this. And the average civilian, when they got to deal with high intensity situations, they're not going to be prepared for it. Okay. I mean, do you honestly realize that the only way to save yourself from being shot when you got a machine gun nest shooting at you is to take out the machine gun nest? And if you ain't got mortar support or whatever, you got your mag. I hope you all trained on how to do that. And you just, lots of things. Seeing casualties. Okay. But, just make sure you can trust people in your mag. I went, my Marine Corps buddies are about the only people I'd ever have a mag with. Just because we went through the crap before. Okay. In the cold, in the wet, cold weather training. Okay. In the wet rain. Remember that one time, rain for a week straight. It was terrible. Just wet. It didn't matter no more. You endured that together. And you were able to sit there, laugh, and smile. But anyway, everybody has a mag. Good luck. My lone wolf policy, way of doing things, I think will work for me. I say my plan ain't to be a lone wolf my whole life, not to go up into the mountains, but when the war ends and stuff, I do plan on coming to Homestead, a place I want to homestead. And maybe people will be a lot friendlier then. Like I say, I'll be a lone wolf until a handshake means something again. Then I can come out and join society again, because then I know the average person isn't there to screw me over. Look at all the spam stuff you get. Anything to take advantage of you. Why shouldn't they? The one taking advantage of us the most is the government. Through our whole lives. Scammer messes with you once. The government comes back every payday. Okay. Every payday they're in there. We need our share. We need our share. And then you sit there and you buy stuff. We need our share. Why should the government get money off of every transaction that I have with somebody? That's why they're going to digital currency, because then they're going to be able to control all that. Then there ain't going to be one penny wasted. Also when they go to digital currency, the government is officially going to own everything, because they'll control everything. Anyway, so how's it going there, Catherine? Still awake? We don't have a very big crowd tonight. Oh, well. Hey, I got the scheduling down. I know how to do that now. And I realize with this channel, I got to up the, the razzmatazz about, the glitz. I got to have better thumbnails. I need to get thumbnails. Found out on my computer can be only 2 megabytes of memory, and I don't know, for some reason the ones I wanted to put on there were more. So I'm figuring it out slowly, and especially when it comes to my wildlife, Lone Wolf's Wild Kingdom, I'm definitely gonna have to learn how to edit. So It's all going to come in time. Maybe by the time I get this all figured out, I'm actually maybe have 10 people on my live chat. I don't know. I really don't care. Until YouTube shuts me down, I'm not going to shut up on YouTube. You people, why don't you go to a different platform? You know why? Because I don't want people to have to spend money to hear me. I don't want you to have to buy a membership to hear me. Okay. Back in before the Revolutionary War, when they were screaming this from the pulpits and at the taverns and stuff, it's not like the tavern said, "Oh, we're going to charge you 10 cents to come in so we can discuss the problems we're having with the king." Nothing against people that do that, but I'm not going to do that. Okay? See, if my channel ever gets big enough to where I start having commercials, let the big boys pay for it. But I guarantee you all the money's going to go right back into this channel to spread the word. That's what I'm on here for, to spread the word. And, got to shout it. Paul Revere, all these people that have big names and stuff. I'm waiting for the first one to come out and be a Paul Revere and start screaming, "The British are coming. The British are coming." We need to find that person needs to stand up that we can all organize behind. Now, Donald Trump's definitely getting more boisterous. He don't have a choice. I mean, if Donald Trump doesn't win this election, he's going to spend the rest of his life in prison. And we're probably going to start seeing, what did Hillary call them? Re-education camps. Extermination camps. Because if Trump don't get in this time, this country's lost. This whole election is about either we're becoming a free country or we're going to fundamentally transform into what Barack Obama and the liberal Democrats want. Okay? That's what this election is all about. Now, I believe they're going to steal it anyway. But the thing is, if they steal it this time, when they steal it this time, we need to do something about it. We need to stand up. That should be a line in the sand right there. We got illegitimate government. Any business that our government does with foreign governments right now is illegitimate. I mean, why, if you were a foreign leader, would you even listen to Joe Biden? He's not the president. Just because the press said he was? 600,000 votes in Pennsylvania on the morning of November 4th that were all for Joe Biden. Give me a break. 375% in some precincts of voter turnout in Michigan. Give me a break. Minnesota with 105% voter turnout. Give me a break. Of course, you give any of these facts to a liberal, they just shut up. The thing is, when a liberal gets really frustrated, which I've had them with me, they just turn around and walk away. They're so stupid. And the average conservative patriot is not a stupid person. Because we look at life through different lenses. Lenses that make us become a better person. We don't lie to ourselves, okay? A lot of us look in the mirror and judge that person in the mirror and try to become a better person the next day. These liberals, they'll never do that. Blame game. It's that person's fault I didn't succeed. It's because of my color I didn't succeed. Okay, whatever the excuse is. No, it's because you're a piece of shit you didn't succeed. It's got nothing to do with your neighbor, your color, or anything like that. We live in the greatest nation this world has ever known. You can be anything you want. And a lot of you liberal Democrats choose to be victims of yourselves. That's what it is. You don't think I haven't had hard times? I've had lots of hard times. But I've learned from them. And I've become a better person because of them. All these people that have had such easy lives. and they get in the adult world and they have one little hiccup in it. And all of a sudden they have to run to the safe room and they're screaming and crying and they're shooting themselves because they can't handle it. How we ever got to this point. God, as a kid, if I would have talked like this, I mean, I'm sure I talked a little bit of stupidity when I was a kid, and I got punished for it. I got told that was wrong. These kids aren't taught they're wrong. Oh, you feel this different? Oh, that's great. We're all going to worship you because, you're different than everybody else. You want to go potty in a litter box. Oh, let's sit there and praise you. That kid needs attention, special attention. And I always thought, this big furry thing in school with these kids that think they're animals, cats and stuff. Well, if we're going to go full bore and agree with them, animals aren't allowed in school, so they should be allowed in school. But I'm sick and tired of my grandson having to go to school with two kids that think they're cats. And then you're not allowed to tease them. When I was going to school and you would have thought like that, you'd have been teased until you came to your senses. Anyway, just one of these crazy things. I mean, what if I decide one day to identify as President of the United States? Let's go there with it. I woke up one morning and decided I was President of the United States. Do you think old JoJo would sit there and say, oh, okay, sounds good to me, I'm out of here. It's all yours. That's all it takes to be president now is you got to wake up one morning and feel you're president. Of course, that'd be lunacy. But that sounds more rational than somebody who thinks they're a cat or a dog or an elf or a smurf. What do these people talk? Do they even have health class anymore? I remember in 4th grade we had health class. Okay. Learn about the human body. 6th grade was sex education. That our parents had to sign a permission slip for us to go to that class. Okay, by the way. But health class. I mean, what do these kids think when they're in health class and they're being taught they're a human being? What do these fluffies do now or furries do now? They start freaking out, going to the cold call and start crying and pissing in their litter box. Encouraging mental illness. And then not only going to litter boxes, but hey, you can decide what gender you are, and then you can go in that bathroom or locker room. Well, what if you're a Smurf? What bathroom do they got for that? I guess the furries don't have to worry. They can just go in this classroom. Mental illness, just gone crazy. Can you imagine how people in 30 or 40 years from now are going to look at how screwed up we were thinking? The Nazis weren't even close to this. The Nazis wouldn't have accepted this behavior. In fact, it wasn't only the Jews in concentration camps. Political dissidents, homosexuals, gypsies, all that stuff that the Weimar Republic accepted. That's when, when I found out that they had gay clubs in the Weimar Republic, I couldn't believe it. Gay bars in Germany in the 1920s. Crazy in the early 1930s. What'd that lead to? Well, that led to the radicals not liking it and that lifestyle being pushed on to form up, and then you got Nazi parties. That was part of it, okay? There are a lot of things going along in Germany at the time that made people upset. But you could definitely say their society was being torn apart, you know. But like I say, when I heard that they had gay bars, I couldn't believe that. I'd watched other shows about the swing kids and stuff like that, but never about the gay bars. I didn't realize that. So, the Nazis took care of that. But, this country is definitely trying to stand this to follow all the paths to destroy your country. Every path. Totally demoralize the people, enslave them, take God out of their lives. I mean, just whatever, government, whatever. And then I got to see these beta males and these out of their minds females in Congress. Oh, wait, AOC, Omar from Minnesota, terrorists in our Congress. Yep. But anyway, everybody needs to prepare. Because when this all goes down, they're going to come at us hard. I just, I want my country back. I want my kids and my grandkids to be able to enjoy the freedom, especially my grandkids, because my kids, they got to deal with this too. It brings me on to another story. The guy I work with today, we kind of work in our job. We can bring our kids with us. He was out checking cows, the calving cows, and he's got his daughter on there. And it makes me envious because, when my girls were growing up, well, I tell you what, I took them with me to do everything. But anyway, he was talking about how his mom took him to the Smithsonian's when he was a kid. So it must have probably been about 2007, 2008 when he went there. He's talking about how he thought it was too early. He went to the Holocaust Museum. He goes, boy, I might have been too young to experience that. He goes, that really shook me. He went into the Holocaust Museum wasn't there when I was in D.C., but I did go to Smithsonian's. But, he's talking about how that affected him, just seeing parts of history. I mean, they had stuff that the Nazis used, the Jewish skins to make books, lampshades, the hair. Anyway, he's talking about how that affected him. And then I pointed to your little girl. Yeah, if we don't do something about this, she's going to be experiencing that far worse than what he had to go through. When you look at your children, think of the Holocaust. If you're a patriot, it's not going to be Jews this time. It's going to be conservatives. Being a conservative will become a crime. Just like being a Jew became a crime. It was just a religion. Just like being a conservative, just part of your personality. It's going to become a crime. So, I say after this election, if we don't do something about it when they steal it, I still can't believe they're going to run Joe Biden on the ticket. But they're going to. It looks like. I thought for sure they'd bring in Barack Obama, but whatever. But they can't give up power. They got to cheat. They got to stay in power and control, or else their whole house of cards comes down, and they're all going to be sitting in jail. So, nobody who's going to give up power. If they do, they're going to be sitting in jail. So, just this time we need to do something about it. And Trump could become that leader of the revolution. Maybe not the military leader, but the political leader. He needs to stop clinging to this federal government we have now, hoping the election is going to fix it. We need somebody to follow. Once we have that strong personality out there that knows that's got our backs, okay, and is going to fight right there with us, like Donald Trump is fighting now. I mean, stupid stuff. I mean, I can't even imagine how upset he goes home every day. I mean, I get upset enough, and I just got to watch it. Listen to it. Stupid stuff. And they make it sound like, oh, we got this big thing. And now his lawyer or whatever, they're dragging up all these people. The president is defending himself against scum. Brought because the charge is brought to him by scum. I mean, that judge in charge of his case, would you let your little girls stay overnight in his house with him alone? I'm just saying. I would. Not unless my girls had machetes, AK-47s. Unless they were clinging to their Bibles and guns, absolutely not. And that's another thing, Democrats. You're so scared of us conservatives clinging to our Bibles and guns, calling us deplorables. Not Americans, but deplorables. A Democrat, They're for the black right. What did the New York governor say about blacks in the Bronx? That they had no idea what a computer was? Or in Oregon, where the schools sat there and weren't going to hold blacks to the same level in education. I think they weren't even going to teach them writing and math or stuff like that. It's something totally ridiculous. If I would have been a mother of a black child when that came down, I would have been in that school busting that principal's ass. Kind of like, remember back during the riots in D.C., where that mother came out and started whooping her kid and got his ass back home and told him to stop being fucking stupid? Remember that? If I was a black mother, I'd go in there and say, how dare you say my child's too stupid to learn? Insulting my child. As you get older, you realize that an education is a very important thing to a successful life. Try to make them slaves. Anyway, and remember, Jojo, you're not black if you don't vote for me, remember, in South Carolina? It's amazing. He was losing until South Carolina. Then all of a sudden, he just kind of took over. And anyway, the world's in for a lot of hurt. This country is going to be, we're going to hurt the worst because we're spoiled the most. And we've made the most enemies. So, you need to toughen up. Get supplied. Get prepared. Skills. Books. Reference books in stuff in print material. Like it's been used for thousands of years. Okay. If you have a secondhand store or an antique store in your town, I'd be spending money there because a lot of stuff is cheap. I mean, it's where you can get the good tools, like an axe that was made in the 70s and 80s that still has the original axe handle on it. That type of stuff. Okay. When stuff was made with good quality. All right. So anyway, I guess I'm going to be checking out here. It's kind of lost track of time, hour and 10 minutes already. But anyway, I will be going live again Monday night at 7:30. I'll send a notice out. 7:30 Mountain Time, that is. And hopefully I'll have more people here. It's all about spreading the word. We got to defeat YouTube. I wish some conservative would start up, I guess, a platform like YouTube. True Social, I guess that's what Trump started up. But, right now YouTube is where the people's at. It's also where the algorithms are at to silence you, shut you up, control your freedom of speech. Anyway, but I'm going to keep slugging. Hopefully, eventually I'll break through. If not, SHTF is going to come and it ain't going to matter. Because after it's every man for himself, I ain't going to have to spread the word. Because all the people that need to hear the truth, it's going to be right in front of their face. And they ain't going to be able to hide it from it no more, and they ain't going to be able to shut it up. And their safe room ain't going to protect it. And no matter how they feel, it ain't going to stop the enemy from just trouncing them. They're going to reap what they sow. The truth gets out, problems get solved. You shine light on the problems get solved, and they go away. But we're not doing that no more. The last thing we want to do is shine light on Hunter Biden's laptop and, 10% for the big guy. Anyway, it's time for us patriots to organize. This is a platform to do it. Come here on Dukes of Hazzard Friday Night Live, and I'd love to have a discussion with people, with patriots, on how we can organize and solve this problem. It's time to put the fear of God into our federal government. Remind them whose country this is and who the servants are. Okay? But anyway, everybody have a good night. This is Lone Wolf Prepper out.